In the latest from the Israel-Hamas war, the Israeli government has set a final deadline for its offensive in Rafah. The Israeli cabinet says that if Hamas doesn't release the remaining hostages by March 10th, its troops will enter the overcrowded southern city in Gaza. Israel is under mounting global pressure to halt its Rafah offensive plans as most of Gaza's residents shifted to Rafah for safety amid the war. Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu opposes the unilateral recognition of Palestinian statehood. Netanyahu said his government would vote on the declaratory decision. The move comes after recent talks in the international community about an attempt to unilaterally impose on Israel a Palestinian state. Netanyahu said that the recognition of a Palestinian state will grant the October 7th massacre a huge and unprecedented reward. Egypt is cementing a special area along its border near Rafah city, which it says is to receive aid for Gaza. However, reports suggest that Egypt is preparing the area to accommodate Palestinians in case Israel launches an offensive in Rafah, as the offensive could prompt an exodus across the frontier. However, Egypt has repeatedly denied making such preparations and calls the area a logistics zone for warehouses, administrative offices, and parking trucks. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has likened the Israeli war against Hamas to the Holocaust, saying that it's a war between highly trained forces and women and children. Israeli PM Netanyahu condemned Lula's remarks and called them disgraceful and grave. Israel accused the Brazilian president of trivializing the Holocaust and offending Jewish people. The Israeli Foreign Ministry said it would summon the Brazilian ambassador over the issue. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, Israeli forces killed 2 Palestinians in a raid in the occupied West Bank's Tulkarm city. The Israeli police and military released a video of the raid. The Israeli authorities described one of the deceased as a senior militant who had taken part in shooting attacks against Israeli targets. A domestic abuse call in Minnesota in the U.S. turned fatal as a man shot dead 2 police officers and a paramedic who responded to the call. The police said that the suspect had barricaded himself with family inside the house and started firing at the police officers. The 3 first responders were killed in the firefight and 1 more was injured. The police have confirmed that the suspect has also died without revealing the cause of the death. Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley has accused former U.S. President Donald Trump of empowering Russian President Vladimir Putin. Haley's criticism comes after Trump encouraged Russia to do whatever it wants with any NATO member country that doesn't meet spending guidelines on defense. Haley called Trump's remarks bone-chilling while she was campaigning in South Carolina ahead of the state's primary election. Hundreds hit the streets in Berlin to pay tribute to the late Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Demonstrators marched with a banner calling Russian President Vladimir Putin a killer. The protesters chanted, "Navalny didn't die, he was killed by Putin." Russia announced Navalny's death on Friday. His family alleges that his body is missing and has not been handed over to them. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that he spoke with his American counterpart Joe Biden. The duo discussed Ukraine's troop withdrawal from the eastern town of Avdiivka. According to the White House, Biden assured Zelensky of America's commitment to continue supporting Ukraine. He also reiterated the need for the U.S. Congress to urgently pass a military aid package. Ukraine's withdrawal from Avdiivka marks Russia's biggest advance since May 2023, when it captured the city of Bakhmut. And after Ukraine's withdrawal of troops from the eastern city of Avdiivka, the Russian Defense Ministry released a video allegedly showing Ukrainian servicemen under heavy bombardment. Moscow says it now has full control of the city. Russian President Vladimir Putin called the capture of Avdiivka an important victory and congratulated Russian troops. As battle between Russia and Ukraine rages on, Japan hosted Ukraine's Prime Minister in Tokyo to discuss the reconstruction of the war-torn country. Japan pledged a new bilateral tax treaty, while about 50 Japanese companies signed deals with their Ukrainian counterparts. The pacts focused on areas like agriculture, energy, and infrastructure. Japan has pledged financial aid worth more than $10 billion to Ukraine. Chaos over the election results continues in Pakistan. In the latest, former PM Imran Khan's party, the PTI, has demanded a judicial probe into alleged rigging. The demand comes after a senior Pakistani official confessed that the country's election body and judiciary were involved in vote tampering. The official added that he was involved in manipulating the election results in favor of Nawaz Sharif's party, the PMLN. Thousands hit the streets in Mexico City to protest against President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. The protesters opposed changes to the country's electoral authority ahead of June's presidential election. The opposition accuses Obrador of trying to weaken Mexico's National Electoral Institute. The Mexican president has defended his changes, calling the poll body biased and corrupt. A major fire broke out at a recycling plant in southern France. The plant had about 900 tons of lithium batteries that caught fire, creating a thick blanket of black smoke above the site. Local media reported that up to 70 firefighters were trying to control the blaze. However, there was reportedly no danger to the lives of people living nearby. In climate news, severe sandstorms and snowfall battered China's northern regions over the weekend. This comes amid an ongoing cold wave that has swept through parts of the country. Chinese authorities had to shut at least 43 highways in the Xinjiang region on Sunday. The cold wave is expected to continue for the next 3 days. Heavy rains triggered massive landslides in the Bolivian capital, La Paz, on Friday. According to reports, 1 woman and 2 minors lost their lives in the disaster. The landslides buried at least 10 houses, leaving residents homeless. In Australia, dry weather has caused a historic 2-month delay in the annual migration of red crabs. Normally, their migration results in road closures at Christmas Island. However, this year, the crabs migrated late, in February, and in lower numbers. The red crabs have a population of over 100 million and are unique to Western Australia. Pangolins are on the brink of extinction. At least 3 of 8 pangolin species are listed as critically endangered. This is according to researchers at Kenya's national museums. They say illegal trafficking and habitat loss are the primary reasons for the animals' disappearance. Notably, Kenya has 3 pangolin species, and the country is making efforts to save them from extinction. Indian cities like Mumbai, Bengaluru and Chennai officially recorded worsened air quality in the winter of 2022. This is according to a new study published in the Netherlands-based Elsevier journal. The study says pollution in peninsular India had increased back in 2022. This occurred due to climate change and the La Nina natural weather phenomenon. The study added that the air quality improved in North India this winter. The possible collapse of the Atlantic Ocean's currents could likely lead to worldwide climate changes. This is according to a study in the US-based Science Advances journal. It says that ocean currents circulate warm water around the world. This helps control global temperatures. However, the process has been slowing down due to more ice melting in the region. This could raise temperatures in certain parts of the Earth. On to business and tech news. The US government is reportedly planning to relax the timeline for electric vehicle transition. The time frame for the transition is now expected to go past 2030. As per a 2023 proposal, automakers were asked to reduce car emissions in half by 2030. During the same time, they were also required to transition 60% of their new vehicles to electric. Both car makers and labor unions had opposed the plan, calling it unachievable. Meanwhile, the Biden administration is in talks with chipmaker Intel for over $10 billion in subsidies. These subsidies are part of the US government incentive to boost semiconductor manufacturing. Intel has proposed to spend tens of billions of dollars at its chip factories in Arizona and New Mexico. The firm is also planning to build a new plant in Ohio. Fintech firm Paytm's shares rose by around 5% in early trades today. This comes after the firm partnered with Axis Bank to shift its nodal account. With this deal, Paytm's old QR codes and soundboxes assigned to its merchants will continue to work. Last month, the Indian Central Bank had asked Paytm's banking unit to halt its operations by February 29th. The Reserve Bank of India has now extended this deadline to March 15th. China's state-owned banks have reportedly earmarked over $8 billion for property projects. It is part of the Chinese government's so-called whitelist project. The scheme aims to revive China's troubled real estate sector. Reports say the Agricultural Bank of China has approved over 40 billion yuan as loans for property projects. China Construction Bank Corp has also allocated around 3 billion yuan to help real estate developers. China's state-owned aircraft manufacturer has debuted at the Singapore Air Show. Yesterday, a narrow-body jet built by Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China was showcased for the first time outside China. The C919 jet is expected to challenge Airbus and Boeing. The Chinese state-owned firm plans to invest tens of billions of dollars to expand production in the next 3 to 4 years. This comes as Airbus and Boeing have been struggling to meet the demand for new planes. German airline Lufthansa is expected to be hit by another round of strikes. The workers' union has said that the airline's ground staff will stage a walkout tomorrow. Workers are demanding over 12% increase in wages. Earlier this month, similar strikes impacted over 900 flights in the country. Germany has seen a series of industrial actions in the transport sector in recent days. Australia's Seven Group has proposed a takeover plan for Boral, a construction materials producer. The group already owns nearly 72% of the shares of Boral. Now it plans to fully acquire the rest of the company for over $1.2 billion. Since 2021, the Seven Group has made several unsuccessful attempts to take over Boral. The European Commission is reportedly set to impose about $539 million in fines on Apple. The EU has charged the tech firm with suppressing competition in the music streaming market. Last year, the European bloc alleged that Apple hindered third-party music services on its devices. Apple's App Store rules also banned companies such as Spotify from billing users for subscriptions directly within the app. SoftBank's shares rose by over 3% in the Japanese stock exchange today. This was after reports said that SoftBank's founder Masayoshi Son is planning to invest $100 billion in a chip venture. Son plans to build an artificial intelligence semiconductor manufacturer. The project, codenamed Izanagi, is expected to compete with the US chip maker NVIDIA. Meanwhile, Japanese gaming firm Nintendo's shares fell by over 6% in early trade today. This was after reports said that Nintendo's next-generation gaming console would be delayed till 2025. Analysts were expecting the launch of a new device this year to replace its aging Switch console. Moving to sports. In cricket, India crushed England by 434 runs in the third test at Rajkot yesterday. This is India's biggest win in the test format in terms of runs. Young guns Yashasvi Jaiswal smashed a double century and Shubman Gill scored a 91 on day 4. Spinner Ravindra Jadeja scalped a 5-wicket haul to dismantle the English batters. India now lead the series 2-1 and head to Ranchi for the next game. The crushing loss at the third test at Rajkot against India doesn't seem to deter England skipper Ben Stokes. He backs England's baseball brand of cricket and believes they can win the series. Stokes remains hopeful on turning the tables and winning it 3-2. England's bold baseball approach has helped the team win every single test series on home soil since 2012. In football, Manchester United have secured their fourth Premier League win in a row as they saw off Luton 2-1 yesterday. Rasmus Højlund gave the Red Devils a 2-0 lead in just 7 minutes of play. Carlton Morris gave some hope to Luton with his goal in the 14th minute, but the scores remained the same till the end of the game. German football club Bayern Munich suffered a 2-3 shock loss at Bochum yesterday. Bayern took the lead through Jamal Musiala. Bochum then scored twice with goals from Takuma Asano and Kevin Scholterbeck. Kevin Stoger struck a penalty to give the hosts an unassailable 3-1 lead. Harry Kane scored with 3 minutes remaining to get Bayern back on track, but missed a chance to equalize after that. French giants Paris Saint-Germain, or PSG, extended their lead at the top of the Ligue 1 table. They beat Nantes 2-0 on Saturday. Hernandez scored the opener with PSG's first shot on target in the 60th minute. Striker Kylian Mbappe came off the bench as a sub and scored on a penalty. In tennis, the Australian Open champion Jannik Sinner has emerged as a winner yet again. He continued his unbeaten start to 2024 by winning the Rotterdam Open. Sinner beat Alex de Minaur 7-5, 6-4 in the final. The win would result in Sinner rising above Daniil Medvedev to become the world number 3. Men's world number 2 and defending champion Carlos Alcaraz has crashed out of the Argentina Open after losing in the semi-final. Alcaraz was upset by Nicolas Jarry of Chile 6-7, 3-6. Alcaraz will next feature at the Rio Open tournament in Brazil next week. Women's world number 1 Iga Świątek clinched her third Qatar Open title. She held off world number 4 Elena Rybakina with a 7-6, 6-2 victory. Świątek had started off slow by going down 1-4 in the opening set, but got back in rhythm. The win also improved her head-to-head record against Rybakina to 2-3. The Indian women's team secured a historic gold at the Badminton Asia Team Championships 2024. They beat Thailand 3-2 in the final yesterday. The 17-year-old Anmol Karab won the decider to seal the win for India. Olympic medalist PV Sindhu also won her singles match. This was India's maiden title in the history of the continental competition. An Israeli swimmer was booed by spectators after finishing second at the World Championships. Her name is Anastasia Gorbenko and she won silver in the 400-meter individual medley. She was being interviewed after her race when the jeers echoed. When Gorbenko stepped on the podium, she was again booed by the crowd. In entertainment news, the 77th British Academy Film Awards ceremony took place in London. Oppenheimer emerged as a huge winner as it took home 7 out of the 13 nominations. The categories include titles like Best Film, Best Director and Best Cinematography. Their streak was followed by Poor Things, which got 5 awards in categories like Best Costume Design, Best Makeup and Hair and Best Production Design. Meanwhile, The Zone of Interest landed the award for the Best British Film. The Holdovers got the award for Best Casting. American Fiction won the Best Adapted Screenplay award. Anatomy of a Fall was awarded with the Best Original Screenplay. The awards also saw the attendance of Prince William, who later congratulated the winners. In a first, Indian actor Deepika Padukone took to the stage to present the award for the film not in the English language category. Singer Taylor Swift wrapped up her 3-day gig in Australia's Melbourne. The concerts were part of her ongoing Eras tour. She stated that these were the biggest shows she has ever performed on her tour. According to reports, over 288,000 people were in attendance for her concerts. Swift also played You're Losing Me for the first time. Artist Kanye West and Tia Dolla Sign will be performing their new album Vultures One in Paris. West announced on social media that the performance will be held on the 25th of February. The album released last week with 16 tracks. The songs have been in collaboration with artists like Travis Scott and Chris Brown. South Korean singer J-Hope announced that he will be releasing a documentary and an album. The BTS boy band member took to X to share a preview of the upcoming releases in March. The documentary revolves around J-Hope's world of dance. The album is a melodic original soundtrack with 6 songs. The streaming service Disney Plus is planning to release 7 original Korean shows this year. The newly announced titles include projects like Blood Free, Unmasked, and Gangnam B-Side. The series will be a mix of genres like thriller, action, and crime drama. One of Disney's executives said that the new projects are to build on the positive momentum and success of their content slate last year. Timothée Chalamet's Wonka has crossed the $600 million mark globally. The tale of the fictional chocolatier spent 10 weeks on the big screen. The film, helmed by Warner Brothers, was produced on a budget of $125 million. Wonka released last year. A script of the Star Wars film was sold for about $13,622 in the UK. It was an original draft left by actor Harrison Ford in an apartment in London. He was shooting the first part of the film in 1976. Along with the script, a shooting schedule also went under the hammer for $6,000. The owner of the property kept these items for decades before selling them. Hollywood couple Joaquin Phoenix and Rooney Mara are ready to embrace parenthood for the second time. According to reports, Mara flaunted her baby bump at the ongoing Berlin Film Festival. The expecting couple got privately engaged in 2019 after their first meeting in 2012. Their first child, River, was born in 2020. U.S. politician George Santos has filed a lawsuit against late-night show host Jimmy Kimmel. The case alleges that Kimmel deceived Santos into shooting videos that were used to ridicule the politician. The lawsuit lists Kimmel, television broadcast company ABC, and Disney as defendants.